Okay, so I have decided to document my whole process and how I'm going to write my cozy paranormal mystery. And what I did was I spent most of the day, if you hear anything, it's my cat in the background. I spent most of the day going over my story idea, and then I was like, I need like some type of like worksheet outline or something that I can plug into. Like I always create everything in like Word or Google Docs, but I really, really wanted to have some structure to this. So I went and I created just a worksheet based off a couple of other additional like story planning, novel writing ideas from other authors and writers in the genre. Oh my gosh, my cat is really tripping. Anyway, so before I show you that, I did last week, well, 2 weeks ago, write down literally everything about the book that I wanted, right? All the research that I did and wanted to do. I put it all in a Google document, right? Because I just really wanted to brainstorm and get all those ideas out. So I started writing everything, what the premise would be, really, really, as Jane Calamus says, plumbing the premise, like getting out every idea, every thought that I want in there from where I want the main character to come from, any questions I may have, what is her skill, what's the issues here, the love interest, I mean, you name it, everything I wrote down here. However, when I came back to this, I was overwhelmed with all of this stuff. I was like, okay, where do I start working first? Like, what do I tackle first? And I had to go back to Jane's video. She has a video on YouTube, and it's called like Creating Your Cozy Mystery, I believe. I can't remember the title name, but I will definitely link it in whatever format that I decide to post this video on. But I went back to it and decided, okay, I need this to be in a particular order. And that's when I went and created the template, like the worksheet. I don't know what I'm going to call it just yet, but once it's all nice and done, I'm definitely going to link it so you guys can have it also. So for the most part, I wanted to have a section for like the story idea. So I have the story idea, the time frame of the story itself. I wanted to let me move my face, make it smaller. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's small. I'll move over here. Okay. There you go. I wanted to have the like the main character and all the questions about that, the love interest, all those questions, the antagonist, the situation, the inciting incident or event. Kind of wanted to be able to kind of plug it in there. So then whenever I, come back to this, I can see it instead of like really skimming through a document that's full of just writing. And for the record, just to let you guys know, I start off writing everything with like pen and pad. I write with like my notebook and I start writing it on everything. And then I do a voice transcribing. So I get the app Otter and I read what I wrote down, and then the Otter transcription app transcribes it for me, and then that's how I upload it to Google, and I have all those words, and I go back to it and I look at what I wrote and what I want to add to it, take away from, and then again, like you saw that huge document, it's my brainstorming sheet. That's what I'll call that, my brainstorming sheet of everything. And here is more of a structured setup on, novel writing. And you can use this setup for any type of novel writing, I would say. But right now I'm just using it for my cozy paranormal mystery. And so let's get to it. So my story idea, and that is, what is the story about? Keep it to one sentence. This is the plot. A story idea for this one is a cozy paranormal mystery about a teen witch who solves murders, right? I mean, just pretty easy, pretty simple. I don't want to get too detailed in that because then I'll go down an additional rabbit hole, and that has its own tab, right? Where I will go down that whole rabbit hole. The time frame, and pretty much the time frame is like, at first I was going to call it like settings and all that stuff, but then the settings, I started getting a little bit confused myself because there's different types of settings. Like, you have the setting of the story itself, then you have the setting of like the first, chapter, or the first scene of it. So I'm like, no, the time frame. I need to just be clear on the time frame that this is being written in. And so this is written in Chicago, spring of 2055. And so I did ideally start with wanting her to be from like the South, right? South Carolina or North Carolina. And then she's, the story takes place at a different kind of university somewhere. But I am originally from Chicago. So I'm like, I want to kind of write about, at least have her from there at a minimum, right? I really don't know much about the South. Not that I know a lot about Chicago either, but I just kind of wanted to give it a different type of twist, right? On that. Because she will eventually move forward in the South as I'm thinking about how I want to do the story idea. And this is where a lot of your juices start flowing, and so you can change this too. And then so after that is my main character. And like I said, I use my little guide here. I'm gonna minimize this. My guide here is like my document where I go to for like everything that I put in here, right? About my main character. And so my main character, like I said, you see, or I said she was from Cape Fear, South Carolina. I like made up a little town, but then I was like, I'm gonna change it around. But I put that she is, let me see. Yeah. So she's 17, but I'm going to change it to where she's 16, just to keep it younger because now I decided I wanted to make it like a series. So I'm going to keep it, younger, right? And then when I did my brainstorming, I put down that both her parents are witches. However, I'm not sure if I want to say a witch and a wizard, right? Because, witches are like more female and then wizards are male. But then I'm like, do I want to get caught up in that? It is my story. So we'll see how I want to portray that. And then I put that specifically her mother is a descendant from the Witch of Endor lineage. And if you know anything about like, witches and, you like that type of folklore, you know who the Witch of Endor was. And we'll get into that also. And her father, I recently just put that he is the son of a legendary witch because I pretty much created the world that I wanted for this. So I went down a whole nother rabbit hole as I'm like creating, like, oh, I'm making a story about witches. And I'm like, I got to create the world of it. Like, what can witches do? What's a legendary? What makes them legendary? What are the levels? So I went down this whole rabbit hole. So real quick, I live by a train, and sometimes that conductor can be such an a-hole. And yeah, it gets loud. Anyway, so the dad is a legendary, a son of a legendary witch. So she's from like a family of, really like powerful witches, let's say that. And however, Jade, she has yet to show any signs of magic and any interest in unlocking her truth. So I did kind of change that for her. Like, I'm not sure if I wanted her to do just that, right? So real quick, my main character, her name is Jade Bronwyn. Her background, she's 16 years old and she doesn't want to be a witch. Again, we're going to get deeper into the main character's like storyline per se. So don't just think like, oh, that's all I gotta write. Like, no, that's what these other tabs are for at the bottom. And then when I get time, I'm going to link it. So then if you clicked on it, you can go right to like that section of the spreadsheet. And so her skill, so in the Cozy Mystery, I learned that, you want to make sure that your protagonist, your hero, your sleuth or whoever, and more likely in any type of novel writing, like they should have a particular skill, right? And so her skill is that she can see ghosts, and I put that she can summon the dead from the netherworld. And so that's when I had to get into my like world building of my actual, story. Like, what? Okay, can't all witches see ghosts and do all that and summon them? Like, yeah, but not all of them, right? And some of them don't want to. Some of them just can't get it, no matter how much schooling they get and how they try. They can only reach a certain level. Where remember, Jade is only 16 and she has not even went to school yet or formal training or anything, of this. And she's able to do this. So that's her particular skill. And then her acute issue. So the acute issue is always the events that's driving the plot, right? Just real small, like what's the event that drives it? And of course, it's a sleuth. It's a sleuth type of mystery. So she wants to solve a murder, right? She's going to solve a murder. She wants to solve a murder. That's the issue. The chronic issue, it's a long-standing issue that the character grows from throughout the story. So it's a bigger issue here, right? They have a small issue that she wants to solve the murder, but the bigger issue is that, okay, she wants to solve the murder, but like, what else is stopping her? And so I put that she wants to be accepted as a regular human, not a witch. And so this is where we're going to get into the I'm just going to show y'all my write up on that as well. When I did my brainstorming, it was so much back and forth that I had with this on, like, what's her fear, what's her chronic issue, and all that stuff. So let me go to that real quick. Hold on. And I'm going to pause real quick. I think I should probably show my face.